Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today our group will present to you a slide on information security risk management. So our name can be viewed on screen. Okay, 8.1, the general description of information security risk assessment. So what is risk assessment? Okay, risk means combination of consequences that would follow to happen from occurrence of the event. So there are risks, and for the risk assessment means to quantify or qualitatively describe the risk and enable manager to prioritize the risk. And under the risk assessment, we have three activities, which are risk identification, risk analysis, and also risk evaluation. So these three activities will be presented by my friend after this. All right. Okay, next is risk identification. So introduction to risk identification. So risk identification means to determine what could happen to cause a potential loss and to gain insight into how, where, and why the loss might happen.
Identification of asset. First of all, what is asset? Asset is everything that has value to organization. Information system consists more than hardware and software for asset identification. Asset identification should be performed at a suitable level of detail that provides sufficient information for the risk assessment. The level of detail used on the asset identification will influence the overall amount of information collected during the risk assessment. To provide responsibility and accountability for the asset, and asset owner should be performed. The asset owner is the often most suitable person to determine the asset value to organization.
Yeah, so for identification of threats, so threat has the potential to harm assets, as mentioned earlier, and they can be either natural or man-made, and either accidental or deliberate. So threats may arise internally or externally within an organization, and they should be identified generically according to type, such as unauthorized actions, physical damage, and technical failures. So as some threats may affect more than one set, they may cause different impacts depending on which assets are affected. So in addressing threats, we should consider environmental and cultural aspects along with and past threat assessments. So when we are identifying threats and their estimation of likelihood of occurrence, we can refer to many different sources. We can refer to legal departments, we can refer to the asset owners and others, and we can refer to threat catalogs or statistics, and they are available from governments, legal bodies, insurance companies, and others.
Identification of existing control. For the input, we have documentation of controls, risk treatment, implementation plans. And for the action that must be taken is existing and planned controls should be identified. Then we come the output, which is the list of all existing and planned controls, their implementation and usage status. For the guidance of the implementation, we have first is identification of existing controls should be made to avoid unnecessary work or cost. As example is the overlapping control. Then the inspection should be performed to ensure that controls are functioning properly. Third, the vulnerabilities will occur if the control does not work as expected, and the control should be checked to determine whether it should be removed, replaced with another control more suitable, or whether it should remain in place if it is not allowed or insufficient. Okay, the following activities that can help the process of identification of controls is first is reviewing documents containing information about the control, which is risk treatment implementation plans. Then checking with the person responsible for information security, such as the information security officer, the building manager or operation manager, and also the users. Then conducting on-site surveys of physical control, compare those implemented with a list of what controls should be available, and examine those implemented whether they function properly and effectively. Then lastly, we reviewing the result of the audits.
So for 8.2.5, the identification of vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities can be identified in organization, processes and procedures, management routines and others, knowing that the vulnerabilities does not contain any harm, but it needs to be a threat present to exploit it. Vulnerabilities can be related to properties of the asset that can be used in a way or for a purpose other than that intended when the asset was purchased or made. A control can be effective or ineffective depending on the environment in which it operates. Conversely, a threat does not have a corresponding vulnerability may result in a risk. So the example of vulnerabilities is lack of replacement, insufficient maintenance, faulty installation of storage media, unprotected storage, and others. This may lead to faulty media, something like that. So.
Okay, next is identification of consequences. So as we know, each asset have its own value assigned, and it can be damaged or compromised. Consequences can be in many forms. It can be loss of effectiveness, adverse operating conditions, loss of business, reputation, damage, and many more. So it will negatively affect the organization. So to identify the damage, we have to do some identification. So the impact of the incident is to determine, considering the impact criteria defined before this in the contract establishment activity. And consequences can be temporary or permanent, depends on what the damage been done to the organization. So this is the operational consequences. It can be in this term, like investigation and repair time, time loss, opportunity loss, health and safety, financial cost of specific skills, and image reputation and goodwill.
Okay, so thank you for listening. Have a great day. Bye.